Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
The mayor keeps pitching a plan designed to get unsheltered people off of the streets, and protesters keep showing up. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Next week, the San Diego City Council will vote on the proposed unsafe camping ordinance. And today, Mayor Todd Gloria took his arguments to Balboa Park. Here's KPBS reporter Melissa May.
The latest stop in the mayor's campaign for the ordinance was the Mingay International Museum at Balboa Park.
It's also one of the museums and among the many cultural institutions in our city's crown jewel that have been impacted by homeless encampments.
Andy Field is the Parks and Recreation Department director.
Our staff have been subject to attacks, threats of violence, and aggressive encounters with people, all while they are just trying to do their job.
The unsafe camping ordinance would prohibit tent encampments in all public spaces throughout the city if shelter beds are available. It would also ban them at all times in certain sensitive areas, such as in parks, canyons, and near schools, regardless of shelter capacity.
Writing an ordinance that criminalizes homelessness is A, unnecessary, because we already have an ordinance that does that, and B, does nothing to solve the fundamental problem that we don't have beds and we don't have housing for people that have recovered.
That's John Brady with Lived Experience Advisors, a group that assists the unhoused. He and several others protested outside the Mingay during the news conference. Brady also sits on several homeless advocacy boards and says no one in that space thinks this ordinance is a solution.
It's a political maneuver, and it's a lie, and there is not going to be any good outcomes.
Gloria says a safe sleeping program is also being introduced along with the ordinance. That will provide 2 sites with approximately 534 city-provided individual tents, bathroom facilities, and security.
And we can't help these people unless they say yes. The unsafe camping ordinance is another tool to get folks to say yes.
According to Mayor Gloria, if the ordinance is passed on June 13th, one of the safe sleeping sites could be open by July 1st. Melissa May, KPBS News.
And we have more coverage on homelessness in San Diego County on our website, including more region-specific information on the North County and Chula Vista. You can check it out at kpbs.org. At this hour, the last ballots are being counted to determine whether teachers have approved their historic new contract with San Diego Unified. Vote counting has been going on all day at the Mission Valley headquarters of the San Diego Education Association. The tentative agreement includes the largest pay raise ever, 15% over 2 years, and it also provides a lump sum payment retroactive to last July. School board trustees and union leaders plan to announce the results on Monday, and if the contract passes, trustees will ratify the deal on June 20th. The nation's energy secretary says the process is underway to move spent nuclear fuel from the San Onofre nuclear generating station, but it will take time. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson has more on the timeline.
The Department of Energy has picked 13 partners and doled out $26 million to explore the possibility of finding a community willing to host an interim storage site for spent nuclear fuel. There are 123 canisters of depleted fuel rods stored at San Onofre. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm says the grants start the process of moving them.
It is going to be in the span of years rather than months, but the bottom line is that the process has begun, and some of it will depend on how forward-leaning the communities are and how willing they're ready to go. It's hard to say at this moment because we have to begin those conversations.
The groups are located all over the country. Congressman Mike Levin says Congress also needs to find a permanent repository for high-level nuclear waste.
There's no question that communities that are interested in this, in being an interim site, will not want to become a de facto permanent site. And therefore, there needs to be movement on licensing of another site.
Critics have long questioned the wisdom of storing the spent fuel rods beside the ocean in a geologically active area. Public watchdog's Nina Babiars says moving the storage canisters is fraught with problems.
We know the cans are damaged, and in order to move them, that issue is going to have to be effectively addressed.
And the canisters are heavy. That makes moving them over an already fragile rail line even more challenging. Exactly how and when they'll be moved won't be decided for several years. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Former President Trump has been indicted on multiple counts in relation to the special counsel's classified documents probe. He's expected to face a federal judge on Tuesday for charges including one under the Espionage Act. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down the charges and what led up to this.
It's the first time a former president has faced federal charges. Former President Trump indicted on multiple counts in connection with his mishandling of classified documents.
Violations of those laws put our country at risk.
Inside the multiple-page indictment are shocking details. Trump allegedly knew he had taken classified documents. Some of those documents related to national defense, and some were so sensitive they required special handling.
Our laws that protect national defense information are critical the safety and security of the United States, and they must be enforced.
Trump taking to Truth Social Thursday night, calling it a dark day for America.
And we're a nation in decline.
Trump admitted on tape in 2021 to have secret documents that he hasn't declassified, according to the unsealed indictment. But it's something he now denies.
I'm an innocent man. I did nothing wrong. I'm innocent, and we will prove that very, very soundly and hopefully very quickly.
Last August, federal agents searched his Palm Beach, Florida home, Mar-a-Lago, where they found more than 100 classified documents, some labeled top secret. All this leading up to the charges he now faces, including one under the Espionage Act, obstruction of justice, destroying or falsifying records, conspiracy, and false statements. In Miami, I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Former Representative Duncan L. Hunter is pushing back on a years-long NPR investigation into the alleged cover-up of a 2004 friendly fire incident involving his son. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer has more.
Former Representative Duncan L. Hunter says he did not orchestrate or participate in covering up a 2004 mortar strike that killed 2 Marines and an Iraqi interpreter.
So the answer is no. I never had a discussion on this Jagman investigation.
At a news conference, Hunter presented the results of a polygraph test taken Wednesday. He says the results prove he is not lying when he says he didn't influence or discuss the investigation into the friendly fire incident or his son Duncan D. Hunter's involvement with Marine leadership. The elder Hunter said he wasn't even aware of the incident until NPR asked him about it.
That was 20 years ago. I don't remember being briefed on that. That didn't come up until NPR did their story.
The NPR podcast Taking Cover revealed that as a Marine lieutenant, Duncan D. Hunter was part of an artillery team that fired a mortar into a Fallujah school where U.S. and Allied forces were preparing for battle. Duncan L. Hunter, his father, was then chair of the House Armed Services Committee. He visited General James Conway, then the top Marine in Iraq, just days before the general signed off on recommendations not to punish any Marine involved in the incident.
Never said a word about the investigation, did not know it was going on.
Lieutenant Duncan D. Hunter went on to win his father's seat in Congress before resigning in disgrace after being convicted of stealing campaign contributions, a crime for which Hunter was pardoned by President Donald Trump. The younger Hunter was not at his father's news conference and has not commented publicly. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
The Gulf mega merger announced this week will play out in the coming months, and SDSU's Mira Kopik has thoughts on what could lie ahead for the sport here in San Diego in the Friday Business Report.
Bottom line, it is all about money. It is about making golf a bigger sport worldwide. Phil Mickelson, who is one of our San Diego golfers, came out when this was announced and tweeted, hey, this is truly a great day. The losers and longer-term winners are the PGA Tour players. Rory McIlroy, who was probably the spokesperson against the LIV Tour from the Player Association, didn't find out until the day it was announced.
I still hit live. Like, I hit live. Like, hope it goes away.
And this is an interesting thing for San Diego, because not only will it make the Torrey Pines tournament, the Farmers Tournament, be that much more high profile because the purses are going to be bigger. It's going to at least next year include all the players who were not going to be part of the tournament this year. And secondly, all the big golf companies, the Callaways of the world, if this has the intended effect, they're not only going to see increased sales maybe in the United States, but certainly internationally, because that's going to be a big investment that the PGA is going to make across the board for years to come.
Apartment hunters in Oceanside can save hundreds of dollars thanks to a new program. Oceanside City Council approved a proposal allowing applicants to reuse the same tenant screening report multiple times instead of paying fees for new ones each time. A new state law effective this year allows applicants to reuse the same screening report multiple times within 30 days. But landlords' acceptance of the report is voluntary. And buyers are lining up for one house in LA County. The price is right, but it's built right on top of a bridge. No one has lived in this 462 square foot home in 2 decades. The 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit was being used for storage, but when it was posted for sale for under $250,000, well, realtors say they were surprised by the number of potential buyers.
Got so many people coming by. We had people last night thinking about turning it into a cigar lounge. We have lawyers wanting to turn into the office, artists coming from far away wanting to turn it into their own creative space.
And the home already has 10 offers, by the way. It's one of 10 properties in LA County listed under $250,000, and the average price of a home there is $1 million. The end of the school year is just days away for many students, prompting the San Diego County Library to launch its Summer Learning Challenge. KPBS education reporter MG Perez tells us the challenge is also for parents.
I am a unicorn. Does this look like a unicorn?
Yeah, it's a cow. The Wiggles and Giggles Storytime here at the new Lakeside County Library is a safe space for learning just about anything. While most of the learners here aren't even old enough to attend school yet, they are the perfect audience of beginning readers.
90% of a child's brain will develop by age 5. That means that we have a really short window, right, of opportunity to make sure that our little ones are getting those best experiences.
First 5 San Diego is an organization that provides services to parents with children from 0 to 5 years old. First 5 is partnered with the County of San Diego Library System to challenge children of all ages to talk, read, and even sing this summer, whether they're on school vacation or waiting to enroll in TK.
Everybody gets involved, even little one over here.
Jessica Downing is a Lakeside mother with 3 children. Her youngest, Ryu, is almost 2. This is a family of active learners.
We actually have books out around the house all day long. They pick them up, they come and read them to each other, and we definitely do story night almost every night. So yeah, it's huge. We love it.
The county is challenging kids to read 10 books and complete educational activities to earn prizes this summer. Parents are being challenged as well. First 5 wants them to talk about their day, read a funny story, and even sing a silly song with their children.
Being thoughtful about, oh my goodness, my children are watching me. My children are listening to me, and we're role models, right?
This new Lakeside branch is one of San Diego County's 33 libraries, but there are a lot more learning opportunities online, not just in the buildings with books. In California, San Diego County is second only to Los Angeles in the size of its digital library, and it's 5th in the nation, with 4 million downloads last year and 11 million checkouts of audio and digital books, CDs, DVDs, and more, all made possible with the free library card.
That is a key to everything. It's a key to adventure, it's a key to information, it's a key to access to information. It's a key to your community.
The sheep sing ba, ba, ba.
The Downing family is ready for the summer challenge.
You have to learn at school, you have to practice all day. You have to believe in yourself and then try your best and then.
That's a strategy you can read loud and clear. MG Perez, KPBS News.
As the weather gets warmer, a reminder that leaving a child in a car for any amount of time can be dangerous. Around 40 children die every year in the U.S. from heat stroke. Mandy Gaither has a look at just how quickly temperatures in a car can rise.
It happens every year. As the sun beats down, the danger inside cars heats up.
If it's even for a minute, take your child with you. Do not leave anyone in a car, even if you're running an errand. For 1 minute, it can happen very quickly.
Since 1998, more than 940 children have died after either being left or trapped in a hot car. A majority of those deaths happen because someone forgets a child in a car.
Usually that's because their routine changed. So dad may typically drop off the child, but instead mom was dropping off the child at daycare and she forgot. She just went on to work, closed the car door, and went upstairs to her office.
Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's Strong for Life program says when it's 75 degrees out, it takes 30 minutes for the inside of a car to hit 104 degrees. But the danger rises with the temperature. At 95 degrees outside, it takes 5 minutes for the inside to reach 102. Dangerous for anyone, especially young children.
Their temperatures can rise about 3 to 5 times faster than adults. In addition, young babies and toddlers, they don't sweat as much, so they can't distribute that heat.
Experts say always check the back seat before locking car doors. It may help to leave something like a cell phone next to the car seat and have a plan with your child's daycare center.
Make sure that they check in on you if for some reason your child is late or not there that day, and just make sure that nothing happened.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A famous San Diego landmark needs a makeover, and the city wants to hear from you. They're holding a second community workshop to gather input on plans to replace the Ocean Beach Pier. It's from 2 to 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at Liberty Station Conference Center. At 56 years old, the pier is nearing the end of its service life. A design based on community input is expected to be selected early next year.
Well, let's start you off with your weather headlines. Cool west of the deserts. A few showers, though, are going to roll through for the start and the end of the weekend. Our highest chance is going to be Sunday, but those storms, some of those showers could turn into some thunderstorms in the mountains and the deserts. That's where we're going to be seeing our highest chances for stormy weather. Now, June gloom into next week. We are still going to be running 5 to 10 degrees below those historical averages across SoCal. Limited coastal clearing each day, so we're hanging on to those clouds, especially along the coast. Now tonight we're dropping down to a low of 62. Tomorrow, though, we'll have some peaks of sun. San Diego 68, Oceanside still a little cloudy with a high of 70. Now as we move a little bit more inland, Borrego Springs in the deserts 90, Mount Laguna hitting a high of 58. Now it's not going to be a complete washout by any means, but again, a few isolated showers still possible throughout your day on Saturday into Sunday, but then those chances for heavier storms are going to move across the mountains and into the high deserts. But again, it's not going to be a washout or overly widespread, but we are increasing that onshore flow as we head throughout the weekend. Now your 5-day outlook here along the coast. Misty in the morning. That's going to be the story through at least the beginning of next week. We'll have some clouds and sun by Tuesday. Highs in the 70s. Wednesday with a high of 72. Now, inland, that's where we could see some rain a little bit, especially towards the end of the weekend. Morning mist, misty in the morning. Similar story, rinse and repeat. Then we're up to the 70s again by Monday, and then we are rising to the mid-70s by Wednesday. Now across the mountains, we'll have a few showers possible again for Sunday. We're staying in the 50s all this week. We will start to dry out with mostly sunny skies, but as we head towards the deserts, a thunderstorm still possible again even Sunday, but most of the day will remain clear and dry. Overall, highs dipping down to the 80s, but back up to the 90s by Tuesday. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Bree Guy.
Former NBA player and two-time champion Lamar Odom is helping people battling drug addiction. Odom played 14 seasons in the NBA, but nearly died from a drug overdose in 2015. Following that near-death experience, Odom says he was looking for a new purpose. So he and two partners launched Odom Wellness and Treatment Centers with locations in San Diego, in El Cajon, and in Lemon Grove.
Once an addict, you're always an addict. And just because you're an addict don't mean because you live in an addictive lifestyle.
So here at Odom Wellness, you know, we focus on the correct way to live. I'm going to be able to help people, hopefully, for the rest of my life.
Odom says this program is more satisfying than anything that he's ever accomplished on the court. His goal is to open more wellness centers all over the world. Well, it seems like artificial intelligence is permeating every industry. Now, a hospital in our state is using the technology to reshape treatment for cancer patients. Sakura Gray explains.
Could cancer care be in the palm of our hands? Ovarian cancer patients at UC Davis Health can soon take part in a clinical study that puts the question to the test.
The goal is really to improve patient experience, healthcare outcomes, and reduce costs if possible.
The AI will track their symptoms, problems, and sleep habits.
The times that patients might be having problems doesn't always coincide with when they might be sitting face-to-face with you in the clinic and doing fine.
Marie Kennedy was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2021. She remembers how crucial it is to have this data on hand.
It would replace what I had. I basically have a big old notebook full of all the different information that I was giving. So I would go to that for my dietary concerns. I would go to that if I was having side effects and was this the side effect I needed to call about?
Now, patients will have the answers at their fingertips. Dr. Rebecca Brooks with UC Davis Health says the tool won't replace a doctor, but it could help doctors make evidence-based treatment recommendations.
So it really gives us a more continual opportunity to see how patients are doing, kind of get a gauge for and hopefully optimize the patient experience.
As for AI's future in healthcare, results from this study could help lead to this two-pronged approach in cancer care across the board.
The Old Globe Theater's Summer Shakespeare Festival kicks off with a classic tale of love, Twelfth Night. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando speaks with the director about why we should care about what a 400-year-old play has to say about love.
This summer, love takes the stage under the stars in Balboa Park with William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. Director Kathleen Marshall says it's one of the very first rom-coms.
We're saying that these are sort of the original romantic comedies, and every movie or TV show where you have two people who sort of rub each other the wrong way and bicker and sort of then tumble their way into romance. That's what happens to Viola and Cesario. That's what happens to Beatrice and Benedict. That's down to Hepburn and Tracy and Sam and Diane on Cheers. It's like it's all originates from these romantic comedies that Shakespeare wrote.
And Marshall should know. She's also directed the Bard's classic tale of dueling lovers in Much Ado About Nothing and the more serious Love's Labour's Lost. But can a playwright who's been dead for more than 4 centuries have anything relevant to say to a modern audience? Marshall says yes.
Because, you know, they're about the human condition, and I think that in Shakespeare's plays, whether they're the comedies or the romances or the tragedies, they may be people sort of behaving in extreme ways, but it's all recognizable. It's all understandable. People sort of falling in love or having, you know, being jealous or desiring something or someone, or dealing with loss or dealing with pain or trying to find their joy. They're all real sort of human characters experiencing life in a way that's recognizable to any audience.
12th Night centers on the shipwrecked Viola, who disguises herself as her lost twin brother. Then she becomes the go-between for a lovesick Duke Orsino, and Olivia, who rejects his advances but falls for his messenger.
Your true love for my master. How with mine honor may I give him that which I have given to you? I will acquit you.
Although Shakespeare exaggerates characters for comic effect, he never forgets their humanity.
One of the things that I've really been realized as we've sort of delved into it is that all of these characters are sort of are flawed in one way or another. All of these characters are sort of feeling some sense of loss. We have 2 characters who are literally lost in a shipwreck, and other characters who are sort of have something missing in their lives, some void that they're trying to fill. And so even though hopefully it becomes, they fill it with sort of joy and romance and attraction and mischief, but it all comes from a place of sort of grief or loss or sadness. And so it's really, even though it's a great Shakespeare comedy, it has this depth to it.
And Viola is key to that depth as she navigates both love and the action of the play, hiding her true identity.
She is going through her experiences of the play disguised as a man, and affects everybody in such a unique and individual ways. And they don't know necessarily why they're being affected by this person, but they are. And I think it's the fact that she sort of is both genders at the same time. She has her own insight and perception and emotions and ideas, but because she is presenting as a man to people, they listen to her differently and she interacts with them differently. And so I think it's interesting. And of course, in Shakespeare's day, that would have been a man playing a woman dressed as a man. So I think it's very sort of interesting that there's gender fluidity in Twelfth Night that's interesting to explore.
It also proves interesting, as well as delightful, to explore how relevant a 423-year-old rom-com can be. The times may change, but human nature never does. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.